Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again from the O-Ray team with an overview of the HD-EX132-K HDMI splitter and extender kit. This product was designed to make it incredibly simple for you to share all of your HDMI media content with two separate remote locations at the same time, up to 132 feet away from the primary location over a single Cat6 or Cat7 LAN cable. The product fully supports high-definition 1080p media content and is plug-and-play compatible with most modern media devices. The transmitter provides local loopback functionality, which allows you to enjoy the content here while you're simultaneously sharing it with those remote locations. The kit also includes a set of infrared blasters that will collect up the remote control signals from those secondary locations and pass those back over the same LAN cable to the primary location so you can actually control the content you're watching. Now, as part of this review, I'd like to start with an unboxing of the product just to show you everything that's included with the kit. And then I'll actually take a closer look at the transmitter module and the receiver modules and explain the connections and indicators so you understand exactly how to use them. I'll list the features and functions the product provides, and then I'll come back and do a brief demonstration to show you just how simple this product will be to use with your own equipment. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you first open up the box, you'll find the transmitter module and two receiver modules. You'll also find a set of brackets you can use to mount these modules up off the ground and out of the way. There are two different power supplies. For the receivers, you'll find a 5-volt 1-amp DC power supply. You'll plug this into any standard wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection on it, which plugs into the back of the receiver, and that's all the power you'll need. The transmitter has a 5-volt DC 2.5-amp power supply. Again, plug this into a wall outlet. The barrel connector plugs into the back of the transmitter, and you're set to go. Also included is a set of infrared blasters for the receivers and one for the transmitter, and they are a little bit different. The receiver uses the one that's labeled infrared in, and the transmitter uses the one labeled infrared out, and it's important you plug those into the correct modules. Also included is a warranty card and a full instruction manual that lists everything you could possibly want to know about this solution, including connection diagrams, specifications, and other really important details. So it's really important you read through this to make sure you get the best value out of the product. Now, if you stay tuned next, I'll take a closer look at both modules, I'll list the features and functions the product provides, and then I'll come back and do the demonstration. Inside the kit, you'll find a sender module and two receiver modules. All three of these feature full metal enclosures, which make them incredibly durable and really the perfect solution for both commercial and residential installations. Let's start by taking a look at the sender module. On the front of the unit, you'll find a link light over here to the right. The minute you add power to the unit, it immediately starts an internal power on self-test, which takes a few seconds, and it's checking all the electronics, make sure everything's working okay. It's checking the connections off the back, and once it passes that test, this light will come on red. Now, once you make a connection between the transmitter and either one of the receiver modules with a LAN cable, it also checks that connection, and once it validates that connection, that light will turn blue and then blink during operation. To the right of that is a reset button that can be used to reset the module if needed, and to do that, you'll hold that button in for a couple of seconds. On either side of the module, you'll find mounting holes that can be used with the included bracketing kit to mount the module up off the ground and out of the way. On the rear of the modules where you'll make all your connections, starting on the left, you'll find a DC input port. That's used with the larger power supply. You'll simply plug that into a standard wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection on it, which plugs in right there. To the right of that is a bank of EDID switches, and these are fully explained in the manual, but they essentially allow you to adjust the frame rate and resolution of the input media for your output monitors, so it's important you read through the manual and adjust those correctly. To the right of that is a 3.5mm port that's labeled IR out, and that's used with the infrared blaster kit. You'll want to plug the module into here that's also labeled IR out for proper operation. To the right of that is an HDMI port that's labeled input. That connects to whatever media device you'd like to share the content from with your two remote locations. Standard HDMI port, standard cable. This product provides local loopback functionality, which allows you to enjoy the content here at the primary site while you're simultaneously sharing it with the remote site. And to use that feature, you'll plug a cable in here and connect it to a monitor locally so you can enjoy that content. To the right of that are two LAN ports, and these are used to connect to the remote locations, again with a Cat6 or a Cat7 cable, and this is where one end of that cable will plug in for Site 1, and this is for Site 2. And again, just use a high quality cable between the locations. Finally, on the right, you'll find a grounding lug. You can actually use that and connect the cable from here to earth ground. If you're using this in a very complicated setting, maybe a commercial setting, there could be a lot of noise on the line, and you can actually ground the module and eliminate a lot of that background noise. Now we'll take a closer look at the receiver modules. And again, they're smaller, but they're identical between the two of them. On either side, you'll find mounting holes, again, that can be used with the bracketing kit. On the back, you'll find a DC input port on the left. That's used with the smaller power supply. Plug that into the wall. Barrel connector plugs in there. To the right of that is an HDMI output port. This connects to the monitor at that remote location where you'd like to enjoy the content. To the right of that is the infrared in port, again used with the infrared blaster kit, 3.5mm port there. Make sure you plug the module in that's labeled infrared in. Then on the other end, you'll find a length adjustment. Now, that's important because you may have these located at different distances away from the primary location. So one might be close, one might be far away. This allows you to attenuate the signal that's being sent to this receiver so you can adjust for that difference in length. So you can, again, it's explained in the manual, but you can tap that a few times to adjust the attenuation to dial it in exactly right for that distance. To the right of that is the other LAN port where the other end of the cable from the transmitter plugs in. And finally, a link light to the right of that. That'll come on once that connection's been verified and will blink during operation. You also have one more grounding lug here if you'd like to ground the remote receivers at those secondary locations. And that's pretty much it for the kit. Really straightforward connections. The Array HD12-EX132-K is compatible with most modern HDMI media sources, including computer systems, DVD players, game consoles, streaming devices, and media players like Roku. The product's features include full support of 1080p HD media content. It supports distances of up to 132 feet between the primary and secondary locations. It's a complete plug-and-play solution. It provides individual receiver gain adjustments for each of the remote locations and also allows local loopback of the content and includes an infrared blaster kit for complete control of your content. Now I'll show you just how easy it'll be to use this product with your own equipment. And for this demonstration, over here I've set up a small media player that's currently looping a video on this monitor, and that's the media content I'd like to send to my two remote locations. Over here I've set up two monitors. Each of these represent a remote location, and these can be up to 132 feet away from the primary location. In front of me I have the transmitter module here and two remote receivers over here. Now the first connection I'll make is to the transmitter, and I'll start by connecting up the media player by disconnecting the HDMI cable from the monitor and plugging that into the HDMI input port in the back of the transmitter. And now I can add power. I've already plugged in the power supply. The other end of that cable has a barrel connection on it which plugs directly into the DC input port. And now we can connect up our two remote receivers at the remote locations. I've got two HDMI cables right here connected to the monitors, and I'll plug those into the HDMI output port on receiver 1 and receiver 2. And now we can add power to the remote receivers. I've got two power supplies plugged in. Again, the other end of those cables have a barrel connection on them which plug directly into the DC port on the back of the unit. Now the minute I add power to these modules, all of them start an internal power on self-test where they're checking the electronics to make sure everything's working okay. The transmitter is also checking the resolution of my media source, and these are checking the resolution of the monitors that are connected to make whatever adjustments are needed to give you the best possible picture. The only thing we're missing at this point is the LAN connection between the transmitter and each of the receiver modules, and it's really important that you use a high-quality Cat6 or Cat7 cable to ensure the best possible resolution at each of these remote locations. For this demonstration, I've got two short Cat7 cables, and I'll start by plugging those into the output ports on the transmitter. There's port number 1, here's port number 2, and the other end plugs directly into the receivers, receiver number 1 and receiver number 2. And the minute I make these connections, there's a handshaking process that starts between the receivers and the transmitter, and they're adjusting the resolution again to give you the best possible picture, and they're synchronizing the media content to those remote locations. And there you go. So that's the same content I was watching on this monitor that's now being sent over a LAN cable 132 feet away to two monitors that are remotely located. Another benefit of this product is the local loopback functionality, which allows you to enjoy the content at the primary site while you're simultaneously broadcasting it to your remote locations. And to use that feature, you'll need one more HDMI cable, and you'll plug that into the back of the monitor and the other end of it into the HDMI output port on the transmitter. And the minute I do that, the transmitter recognizes that I've got another monitor connected, and there's your content as well as being sent to the remote location. So this allows you, again, to enjoy the content here at the primary site while you're transmitting it to your 2 remote locations. I think it's a wonderful product, and it's pretty amazing that you can send HD content over a LAN cable, again, up to 132 feet away by using this system. And it really is just that easy to get it working. I hope you found this overview of the Oray HD12-EX132-K HDMI splitter and extender kit helpful. It really does provide an incredibly simple solution for sharing all of your HDMI media content with 2 remote locations at the same time, up to 132 feet away from the primary location over a single Cat6 or Cat7 LAN cable. The product provides local loopback functionality at the primary site, which allows you to enjoy the content here while you're simultaneously sharing it with your remote locations. It fully supports high-definition 1080p media content and also has individual adjustments for the video feeds out to those remote locations, so you can easily adjust for different distances. Finally, the product includes a set of infrared blasters that allow you to remotely control the content from those secondary sites by collecting up the remote control signals from that location and sending those back digitally over the same LAN cable to the primary location where they're rebroadcast so you can control the content. Everything you need to get started is included with the kit, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So until next time, thanks again for watching.